Dr. Tariq Ramadan, who Time magazine has referred to as one of the 100 most influential people in the world, is a visiting professor at Hamad bin Khalifa University, Qatar Faculty of Islamic Studies, and he is the director of the Research Center for Islamic Legislation and Ethics at Hamad bin Khalifa University. As well, Dr. Tariq is the professor of contemporary Islamic studies at the Oxford University, and he holds MA in philosophy and French literature and PhD in Arabic and Islamic studies from the University of Geneva. Dr. Tariq is a president of European think tank, European Muslim Network in Brussels. He is a member of the International Union of Muslim Scholars. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tariq Ramadan.
Thank you. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you. So, it's a two-session seminar around the principle of leadership, or the way it was put is the principle of leadership in Islam. So the way it's going to happen is I'm not going to lecture about this. I'm going to go through some of the steps. I have in mind a plan, and I have lots of questions. So I'm going to ask you some questions. What you have to do is to try as much as you can to respond to these questions at your level, from where you are understanding things. So just be natural and react. There is a mic, so you need to respond, to use the mic, and at the same time to use your mic here when it comes to interacting. And it's a seminar, it's interactive. If during a session of 2 hours you haven't spoken at least 3 times, it's as if you are not attending. So anyone who comes here to listen and to observe, you are at the wrong place. So it's really where you have to try your best. So when it comes to the principles of leadership in Islam, the starting point of our discussion should be about the terminology, because it's as if it's clear what we are talking about, and in fact it's not. So what I want to do with you is to start in a very simple way. Can you try to define from where you are with your experience and your knowledge, before even entering into the Islamic framework, what is a leader? What is leadership? What is leadership, and how would you define this when it comes to the field within which we are, or within which we are trying to start the study? Okay, the floor is yours already. So the mic is here. You feel free to respond. If you are here, it's because you are interested by the principles of leadership, so you know what it means. If you come to a seminar, you don't even understand the title, it might be problematic. So it means that you have an understanding. So you might smile. Now it's time to respond.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Sulaiman. Not that you asked me to introduce myself, but just in case somebody out there wanted to know. But for me, what I think about leadership, and then looking at it maybe as one of those values and one of those characteristics that's almost universal, in that every culture throughout history and every faith group has produced leaders, and great leaders, and humanity as a whole has produced leaders, is that it's an element of having...
Sorry, just to make clear with the words that you are using, leadership is a value?
Or a value or a character. I mean, it's not something. I mean, it's a value in that. I see where you're going. It's a it's a value that's recognized and respected universally, is what I'm saying. And that it's a sometimes people can see it in people. They think this is where the phrasing I'm thinking comes, where leaders are born or leaders are made. But sometimes you can see the value of leadership, the elements of leadership in a person, and sometimes it's something that one can learn, even without knowing that they have it. So that's what I thought in terms of saying value, and also a character, right? But no, the character is the embodiment, and the value is that people. It's an element that people all over hold in esteem. Like leadership, especially good leadership. I mean, there's bad leadership as well, but leadership is something that people give reverence to. They understand that when there's leadership.
As a value or as a quality? Is a value a quality?
I would say value because there's good values and bad values. Quality, I'm not 100% sure. It's maybe the, there's also good quality and bad quality, but but the end goal of a leadership for me, whether it's a character or a value, is that it's the ability to influence. I really think that it boils down to that.
Influence is what is leadership for you.
Yes, whether it's from the front, whether it's from the back, whether it's from the middle of the pack, it's the ability to influence. So yeah, that gives it. It doesn't give it any situational position. It's not the whole horizontal or vertical. It's not front or back. It's just an engine somewhere. You can place it anywhere, and then it influences.
When you say there is no space, it doesn't mean that you lead from, or the leadership has to do with. It could be from behind. You can be influential. You can be a leader from behind.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. I would like to join the introducer to thank you really, and we welcome you. To maybe looking at the word leadership, to me, I think it's the act of guiding people towards achieving certain goals through certain principles. Yeah, you want to come in? Or through certain principles or characteristics that such an individual may possess that may help in the process of guiding the people towards achieving the goals.
Leadership is about guiding the people.
Yes, towards achieving a goal. Yes, because leaders are different. There's a leader of a nation, leader of a group, leader of a community. So each community has its goals, okay, what it's run towards. And also we have what's more important in this is guiding and characteristics that could make him a good guider.
So, but what is more important, to guide people or to achieve goals?
No, both are important. Yes, yeah.
So a leader is a leader among people.
Yeah.
Or for people.
Okay.
And he has in mind specific goals.
Yes, and also he should possess certain characteristics that should make him the right person to lead them towards achievement.
I'm not asking you about the characteristics
Oh, yes.
of the leader. I'm asking you about the
Leadership. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's what to me. Yeah.
Leading people
Yes.
and achieving goals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you agree with this?
I would like to talk about leadership by talking about who a leader is. Who a leader is. A leader. Yeah.
This is not my question. My question is, what is leadership?
Yes, I will link the two. Yeah. A leader for me is someone who is able to sort of inspire, let's say, people to achieve a particular goal. Or sometimes you have people that might not actually share your vision, or let's say what you want to do. So the inner drive to sort of make people to see how you see things and what you want to achieve provides for me, the definition of a leader. So the framework or the sort of the trait or the quality in achieving this sort of helping people to achieve a set of goals, for me, defines leadership. So,
Helping people.
no, inspiring people, like trying to provide a vehicle. Sorry.
What is the difference between helping and inspiring?
For inspiring, I would say is sort of providing motivation. I'm trying to motivate people to do what they might not want to do.
So, motivate.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between motivating and helping?
Yeah, they can be similar.
So a leader or leadership is about helping people?
No, it's partial. Yeah, as a leader, you have to help, but it doesn't define who a leader is. I mean, it's part of your work is to help people to understand or to sort of relate with your vision. Yeah, so it's part.
But this is critical. This question is critical. Leadership is about inspiring, motivating, helping. You use 3 words.
Yeah.
What is the best one?
Inspiring. Yeah.
So why didn't you choose helping?
I don't think there is one particular word for. I mean, helping can be one, but I can say for me, I think inspiring. If you can inspire people, in essence, you are helping them. So for me, the broader word should be inspiring, and helping will be subordinate to inspiring. Yeah.
So this is my question. What does it mean to inspire?
Yeah, to sort of make people to relate with your vision.
To inspire?
Yes.
To bring them to your vision?
Yes, make them to appreciate the goal you want to achieve as a team.
So somebody who is inspiring you as a leader is someone who is going to make you buy his vision or her vision.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
So it might not be your vision, but it ends up being your vision.
No, it's a set goal. It's a set goal. Okay. So the goal that is set, either is set by the leader or by the values of the society, or let's say what they all agree to do. Sometimes you can agree to do something, but there has to be someone to drive that, what you call that goal. You can agree to, I mean, we want to achieve this, but there has to be someone to provide that leadership, or someone to provide that inspiration, someone that brings his passion to bear in terms of relating with the, what do you call it, what you want to achieve.
Do you agree with the word that was used, influencing?
Yes, yes. As a leader, you should be able to influence.
So there is a difference between inspiring and influencing?
I wouldn't say there is a marked difference, because if you can inspire people, then you can influence them.
Think about it. Influencing, inspiring.
Yeah.
You don't see a difference?
No, I'm saying like if you can inspire someone, in that you are influencing the person.
Yes, but is it the same? Why do we have 2 words there?
No, but I don't think I should just say yes, it's the same or it's not the same.
It's both.
Nah, maybe. Maybe one is subordinated.
Sorry?
Maybe one is subordinate.
Okay, but you cannot differentiate between the 2.
Okay.
I'm asking, can you?
Because if you can influence, then you can inspire. You can, if you cannot inspire, then I'm not sure you can influence.
Okay, you can influence without inspiring, no?
Maybe you can, maybe in a different way. Perhaps maybe depending on your yes, maybe you can influence.
It's the other way around.
Yeah, it's much deeper.
If you inspire, you influence. You can influence without inspiring.
Yes.
And the leader is doing that.
Inspiring.
Inspiring.
Yes.
Not influencing.
For me.
Sulaiman saying your word was too weak.
Because you can actually influence someone by, let's say, not maybe through maybe force, or maybe by.
Inspiring could be forcing somebody.
No, it has to be persuasive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Persuasion, that was a new word.
Yes.
Okay, you're adding words. Do you agree with this?
I think, first of all, it's about having a vision which nobody else can see or other people cannot see. So this is what distinguishes one person from the others, is that they can see something which others cannot see. That's one point. The second point is that they can unite.
It's about having a vision.
Yes, it has to be about a vision. And it's also about unifying people who otherwise could not be or would not be unified. But you can rally a group of people together under your banner or under your vision. This for me is leadership, but also it has to be context
So
specific.
you have to have people behind you.
Yeah, definitely.
To be a leader. Leadership is about having people behind you and having a vision.
Behind you, like with you.
Sorry?
Not just behind you, with you, actually.
And what about being in front of you?
Okay, is this like what I mean? It should not be like only behind you. Behind you is like you are acting like just a boss on them. You just
But I'm sorry, if you have a vision the others don't have.
No.
If you have the vision and the people don't have it, you are leading. You are in the front. You are not
You want like to bring the vision to them. They should be. You are not forcing them to your vision.
So you are ahead of them.
Or it can be sometimes it not just be
Can
your
you have
vision.
a vision and be behind them?
Behind them. Yes, it can. You push them to your vision. Maybe you are gaining their vision.
Yes, you push them to your vision.
No, not just
so
my
you are
vision.
ahead, but you play
You can gain
from behind.
Leadership is like gain. It's like not just your vision. You can learn from them. It is like intellectual.
I never said that. My question is, you refused to put leadership at the front. You say, no, it's not about being at the front. It's not
just being at the front. This is what what I am saying. It should not be exactly at the front. It can be like, because sometimes like people, you may bring your vision through people not being as a leader, not being as in the front as like the main focal point. You can take your vision.
If you have the objectives,
yes,
and if you have the people, at the end the people are following you.
They are not actually as a person. They are not following me as a person.
You have a problem with power.
Yes, this is. But I mean,
that's the problem.
Yes, they are not like following me as a person. They're following the vision, the idea. I may be not here as a person, but the idea will continue. Like this is a leadership. Like after, let's say, a leader who can like influence people even if he's not physically found, even like after he died.
That's another question. He can be there can be leadership about message, and the message will continue. The question is that what is leadership while he is here or she is here?
It's like I believe like it's influencing people to certain idea, working with. It's not just helping them, because helping is just like it's help. It's a certain time. You may not just help, but if you influence them, they will without your help they can work towards these ideas.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
As you are bringing this to the table, is it possible to speak about leadership without speaking about power?
Yeah,
you have to speak with the mind.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So
Yeah, I believe it is difficult, like as she said, like because.
Now, my question is it possible or not? Don't tell me it's difficult in a diplomatic way. Is it possible or not?
Yes. What is the meaning of power? I mean, here is the meaning of the power. Like it can be authority. You may not need the power to be a leadership.
So it's possible to speak about leadership without speaking about power?
I believe yes, because this is my own idea. Like I believe you don't need power just to be a leadership. You can't.
Just listen to my question. I'm not saying you should be in a position of power. I'm saying, can we speak about leadership without connecting leadership to power?
Well, related to the colleagues' discussion about leadership and power, we cannot actually put on one side leadership without thinking about the power, because the leadership itself is giving by time. It can give us by time a certain kind of power.
It can.
It can bring us.
It should.
It can bring us if we are good leaders.
No, but straight, as soon as you are a leader, good or bad leader, don't you have power?
Yes, as you are. If you are a leader, you do have, a priori, you do have a power. The point is how you are going to use this power, I mean, to benefit you.
I'm not at the stage of speaking about good and bad leadership. I'm just trying to get what is leadership.
Then it can be related to the power, for sure. Related to the power. It is. It is by the end, it is. Yeah. Because the power is very, very strong, word. We are not, but it brings us. No, because actually good leaders, because they want to share their power. and at the same time sharing the responsibility that bring us the power. This is why they are very cautious about the power.
If the good leader want to share their power, it means everything in leadership is about power.
Everything.
And you started saying it might be, it could be, no, it's not.
Everything is the last point.
If the good leader, in your terms, are the leaders who are sharing power, at the end, leadership, it's all about power.
Yes, it is, but for me, this shouldn't be the goal. I want to be leader because... Okay, this is why I cannot say, you know, leadership is the same as the power. Leadership are giving us the power, are providing us the power, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, this is why. This is why I'm distanced a little bit about the...
You didn't agree?
Yeah, I don't agree.
Can you use your...
Yeah, I have to mute. No.
I don't think that leadership is about power. I think that we've been focusing this discussion too much on the leader, and I would define leadership as the desire of those following to follow the leader. So I would classify it as a desire from the people to follow the leader, and that has nothing to do with power. Because somebody might not want to be a leader necessarily. Somebody might just be...
So you are looking at it from the other side, saying, in fact, leadership has much more to do with the followers than the leaders. Yes. How can you say that?
Because a person can just be living, existing, without any intention of leading. Just it's a person. And then people start becoming interested in that person's principles, in that person's way of life, and they actually choose to make that person a role model or choose to make that person a leader, whether the person is aware of it or not, and they choose to follow.
That's fine. We can speak about it that way, which is quite idealistic, but that's fine. Still, these people you are talking about are giving him or her a certain amount of power on them.
Once we say that they're giving him power, then is it really called power? Because my understanding of power is that it is a person has power and exercises that power over another person.
Why could it be that I'm giving you power over me? It's still power. I give you the power to decide for me, it's power.
But as soon as I decide not to follow you anymore, then you don't have power. So
yes, but you gave me power before taking it again. So you provide me with certain power over you.
But if it's voluntary, then is it really power?
Why not? Why do you have quite a negative understanding of power?
Because I always thought of power as being something that a person forces others. It's my, so if I'm powerful, then it's my will and it's my whatever I want to happen happens.
So you look at it negatively from the other side of the powerful and positively from the side of the followers, but still it has to do with power.
But I'm saying leadership is not that. Leadership is not where the person who is powerful, the leader, exercises their power over other people.
But why are you saying it's coming from the followers? It's your understanding of leadership. Yeah. But still, even if it's coming from the followers, it has to do with power, isn't it? Not in a negative way. Power, it's not negative. It's the reality of life. Sorry?
What's our definition of power?
What's my definition of power? I'm here to ask questions. Don't come.
What's the definition of
okay,
power?
it could be around the table if somebody wants to answer. Somebody else? Just here and there.
Thank you. Well, I think power can be understood as an ability. So I think in the case of leadership is the ability to coordinate. So we presuppose that we are in a chaotic environment, in a chaotic society, where everyone is thinking that their own path or their own goal is the most important. So there is a need for a coordination. And I think that leadership is the ability not only to coordinate this diversity of wills or diversity of intentions, but also to harmonize these wills, to coordinate these wills. And the leadership requires the power of perception of what could be considered the best of the paths. So leadership has to do with perceiving or detecting the best of the paths to achieve a collective goal. So also leadership has to do with the power of the perceiving or being aware, the awareness, the collective awareness. It has to do with collectivity awareness.
But if I listen to you, what you said, adding to what was said, it has to do with the principle of coordinating, it has to do with the goals. But what you said is to choose the best path, which is the means to achieve the goals. It's not only about the goals.
Yeah. To perceive it and to look there.
So which is adding to what was said, is not only about who is following you, it's not about where you are heading, it's the way you choose. Yes. And okay, that's fine.
Regarding the word power, can he?
Sorry?
Regarding the word power.
What is your definition of power?
My definition of power? Well, power is everywhere, and it's the ability to do something.
Power is the ability to do something. Yeah, it's the power. And in leadership, it's just the ability to do something.
It's the accumulated or is the amount of different abilities that all together became powerful. So yeah.
The fact that you are able to speak now makes you a powerful man.
Yes.
You are powerful.
It's a power. In this moment, I have the power. Yeah, in this moment, I have the power to speak.
So is it the same as when you are two together, when you speak about power between two people? Is it the same as to be able to do something?
Well, if my voice is being heard by 30 people, it's more powerful than if it's only been heard by one people. So
okay.
Yeah.
Can we speak about leadership if you are on your own?
No. Leadership has to do with collectivity.
Okay, is it the same power as the one that you have to speak out now?
It depends if I am in a collectivity, and in this moment I am in a collectivity, and we all are here with the same purpose.
We are talking about leadership. You cannot be on your own.
No.
Leadership has to do with a community of people.
Yes.
With two.
Yes.
Agree?
Yeah, I have an idea on
So when it comes to power in this situation, what do you mean?
I am meaning that when added, when one purpose is added to another purpose, it becomes more powerful. So powerful has to do with the getting together, with the adding, with building upon something, constructing.
So this is a very positive way of speaking about leadership.
Yes.
But once again, I didn't put in my question any moral qualification. I'm not talking about leadership, because it could be good and it could be bad. You are now struggling with trying to define what is good. I never said that, because you are influenced by in Islam. I'm sorry, I'm just before that. So I want to know what is leadership before trying to qualify it morally or ethically or Islamically. All what you are saying is that you are so scared to speak about power and the negative side. Just leadership, what it is.
Can I add that? Can I say something?
So the sister there had the yeah.
Leadership is about, attaining a certain vision, and we can't attain a certain vision or achieving certain set of goals without leadership. So to be able to do this, we have to have like force or authority, because leadership is about vision, attaining a certain goal or certain.
Again, for you, this is the main thing. It's the vision and the goal.
Mm-hmm. A vision and goal, and we can't do this without authority.
Are you repeating this? I don't have any elements that is helping me to understand why you are so obsessed with the vision. So since I'm listening to you, I come and sit, I listen to you, these people are scared of power, obsessed with vision.
Because leadership revolves around vision. I mean,
So can you explain?
Yeah, because it's about, you know, getting, you know, some people together, trying to attain a with collectivity, yes. With
So who am I? If I come to you, I have a vision, but I don't know how to deal with you. So you know what? I have a vision.
Because a leader's, you know, main passion or main mission or task is getting people together to attain a no, I mean it goes in a certain steps, you know. So the first one is, you know, collecting people together, and then trying to in the name of a vision. So the vision comes first. Yes, yeah, I believe so. The vision comes first. No.
What about bringing the people together?
So first of all, so vision has to come first, and then a leader who you know, who believes in that vision, and then he collects the people who are believing in that vision with him. So they together try to, you know, attain. Yeah, influencing them, inspiring them, leading them, leading them, and, you know, he has to have the power over them to you know, to lead them in that direction, in the direction of, you know, attaining that certain goal and of that vision. Yeah, and it could be negative, it could be positive. It depends on the vision itself.
The power depends on the vision.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I want to disagree, first of all, maybe with what was said earlier about, you know, leadership is something that people just kind of give it to you. And sorry, Noor, but I mean, you know, like, I think people are thinking, it could be, yes. But what I'm saying is that, for example, it's not something like, you know, when she was saying that people don't choose to be a leader and whatnot. I mean, let's just think about a family as the smallest unit of a society, and then see, you know, where siblings are born, right? Like which position you come in, and then most of the times, of course, your parents will say, listen to your older brother or older sister and whatnot. And even when you look at the parents, we'll look at the mother and the father, we'll think that the father, just because maybe the man of the house, the head of the household and whatnot, everybody else takes his last name, is the leader of the household. But I mean, I've seen the opposite. So in terms of leadership, you can even have maybe the youngest sibling, if we, you know, I don't want to go into like talking about Sayyidina Yusuf, for example, but a younger sibling just being, like, everybody in the family can relate to that person. And then that person has that influence because they see that person as like, you always make time for us and listen to us. Whereas like maybe the older ones, everybody's got their own thing. What do you mean? That the people? No, but it's not because the people gave it to that person. It's because that person gave time of themselves. It's that building of the relationships. Whereas everybody else had their own thing to do and cared about themselves, this person took the time to kind of make time with everybody else and build bridges, and that relationship gave them, they were able to influence. That gave them some authority. So it's a two-way street. It's not like necessarily the followers say, we give it to you, take it or leave it, or... Again, the influencer, the person who takes time to build relationships. I mean, now, eventually...
What about the vision? What about the people? What about the power relationship? What would you say about that?
It's just an extension of this. I mean, like, so the mother, for example, could be the strongest unit in the family. When you work to build a relationship, then the influence comes. So you're going to be influential when you work to build a relationship, when people actually see that there is some form of caring. No leader in the world has just gotten people to gather around them without caring for them. You know, like if... Well, yeah, but then they'll be the first people to throw you down if that's the case. But if there's caring, then you've actually...
Can it be leadership without caring about the people? Are you sure?
No, about the relationship. About building the relationship. So even...
If you don't care about the relationship, could you experience leadership?
If you don't care about the relationship, could you? Yeah, you could. But the relationship is key. I mean, it's key for good leadership. Relationship? I think even bad leaders have a confidant or somebody that they look up to. I mean, like, look at Fir'aun, for example. He knew how to play the people. What I'm saying is that, like, when, mala, as if he's consulting. Caring about a relationship. Yeah, you might not care about the people, but building that relationship, you want to build it because you know one day you might use it. But there's a relationship still.
This is leadership. I say, when I speak, you listen. And when I decide, you follow.
That's power. That's not leadership. No. That's
leadership.
No, that's not leadership. That's the power and
It's not leadership.
No, it's not.
Bad one, but it is.
When you speak, people just listen. That's leadership.
And in some, it's some of thought. You just listen, obey, and that's it.
You've influenced them with fear. Then yes, okay, I'll take that.
Yes, it's called in some management, fear management.
Yeah.
Is it leadership or not?
Yeah, it's leadership. Okay.
So you once again try to qualify it in moral terms, which is not the question. I will come to my sentences. So you had.
Just a quick. Like, we were speaking like different. Okay, we were talking about different like values of leadership or different definitions. Like, I would like, for me, as a good definition, I believe that leadership is the power to influence or to inspire. Is the power. Yeah, it's the power to influence, because with the power you will achieve. It's a different. Look, you have different meaning of a power, but at the end, it's a power of to influence, to guide people to a certain goals. It doesn't matter if these goals are good or bad.
Why don't you say it's a power to impose?
To impose people?
To impose views. My dealing with leadership,
it can be.
The power to impose my vision. If I come here, I came here with a vision for this seminar.
Yes. And you are trying to impose it on us.
Without you not seeing it, I have the power to impose on you
yes.
my vision of the seminar.
Yeah, it looked like. Yeah, it looked like this.
So you got that.
Yeah, I got it.
There was I had a vision.
Yes, from every question, like every point.
Okay.
You are
imposing it without you knowing, or I can do it without you knowing.
Yeah, it can be. Like you can.
Impose now.
Yeah, like it can be also growing an idea in the people to follow.
To influence or to impose.
Yes, it can be all these things also. And at the end, like you have to have also a goal, a vision, because like what unify people, as he said, like we have something in the future, so they will go with you or they follow you for these things. There is a goal at the end. It doesn't matter if this goal is good or bad, or even you may not go for it, but you will make people believe that this is your goal.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you need them to introduce?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Do you need them to introduce themselves, or that's fine?
It's okay.
Okay.
Sorry. It's okay. Sorry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. For me, the leadership is about an action of lead. It means when we are talking about action, it's including motivating, helping, influencing, inspiring, unifying, and everything. And also,
So it's about everything.
now about action, about action of lead. So everyone basically is a leader of action to lead, action of lead. So everyone basically is a leader.
The problem that I have with your definition is that you are using the term to define the concept. So leadership is about to lead. Thank you.
Action of lead, action of lead. So in action also including motivating, helping, influencing, inspiring. So everyone basically is a leader from themselves, at least from themselves. So, and also...
So everyone around the table, they are all leaders of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because basically we born as a leader.
The people who are around the table are completely lost. They are the leaders of themselves.
No, at least everyone has, they have to take responsibility of themselves. So become leader also. Leadership also, it means that you are ready to take responsibility about what you lead. And also...
But can I ask you a question again? What is your name?
Jehan.
Jehan. On your own, can I look at you and say, wow, Jehan is experiencing good leadership?
Yeah.
It's to say yes.
Y-
On your own, I can speak about good leadership.
Yeah, at least when we can, as ourselves, we have to lead ourselves. We have to lead ourselves to overcome our obstacles. We know what is our vision. So after we are able to overcome our obstacles and work hard to achieve our goal, at least we can lead ourselves.
Okay, but are you talking about leadership here or about being a good
Yeah, leadership is about an action. So that's why this is my point.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Last one before my
Okay.
first
Yeah, for me, I of course I've already given my definition of leadership. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about power. I think power is the ability of being able to command and be respected. That's what I understand the word power. That you have the ability of being given the authority to command, give command, and those you're leading or under you respect what you've commanded. Whether you all came up to set these rules together, or whether, as you said, these rules came from you directly from the leader, or whether they came from something above you all. Yeah. So I think the word power has no problem. Depend on when the context in which we use the power. Okay, maybe our sister there been seeing some other people maybe using power for their own personal interests. That's why. But the word power is all about having the ability to command and be respected by the subordinate. Commanding and being respected.
Commanding or influencing, or is it the same?
No, it's commanding. Now, commanding in the sense is not that you're forcing. It's like here are rules that you will order them to do, and they have to do them. And maybe you might be the first to implement these rules. But, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me start just to take some of the things that you were saying, because this is a critical question. You can see the problem that you have with the concept of leadership, because very quickly you come to qualify it morally, which is not the question. The question is just, what are we talking about? And when it comes to leadership, there is something which was in your discussion, that we are talking about leaders and followers. So leadership, it's about, yes, all the dimension, when we are talking about leadership, when we are more than one. And it has to do with all the words that you are using are part of this relationship between two. One is leading, the other is following. And the relationship could be to help, to inspire, to influence. And you can see that there are differences. And in fact, there are differences in the moral qualification. To inspire is to bring something out of you. To influence is to put something out of me, which is completely different. Inspire is, it's coming out of you. I'm able to, so it is the why, for example, in philosophical terms, Socrates was very influential in the dialectical way. He was inspiring, bringing something out of you. While influencing is my thoughts are coming to you, I'm convincing you from where I am with my arguments, which is completely different. You can emotionally inspire, you can intellectually, and both. It's two ways. So the question here is leadership is about first being two and not being on its own or on one's own, and then it has to do with something that it's important. We are talking about people who are leading. Leadership is about leading and following. So this relationship should be clear. Straight when we say this, there is something that you cannot avoid. It's a power relationship, and it's everywhere. When you are two, there is a power relationship. I'm not qualifying it. Now, the good leader is the one who is using his or her power in the right way. But there is a power relationship. And the first is to avoid not talking about it as if power, it's a bad word. Power, it's a factual, an objective notion that we have. So the power structure is here. That's something that you have to deal with. And then there are things that are very important in all what we are saying, is that this power relationship could be translated in many ways. But there is something which is clear when it comes to leadership. Leadership is leading towards. So it means it's a plurality of people and leading towards a specific goals. So what you said about the vision is essential. But it's not the first the vision and then the people. It's both at the same time. It's the capacity to set the vision and to gather the people. Now, how you are going to gather the people and to get the people, it could be by imposing, negative, or it could be by inspiring, positive, or convincing, which is also intellectually positive. But there is something which is people, path, goal. Okay? So the path is very important, and what you said is critical. It's a good leadership is about choosing the means to achieve the goal. Gathering the people to choose the means to achieve the goal. All this is about leadership. Now, the way it's going to be dealt with, positively and negatively, and this is where you come after this, in Islamic terms, you come to who is the model, and a role model, by the way, it's a power relationship. The role model is you decide for yourself that he is the one that you are leading. So when the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, Allah is sending to all the Muslims, there is a power of the role model here. There is power in the way. And then, to the point that it's not only an intellectual power, it's the power of love. قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. فَاتَّبِعُونِي mean followers of the leader, and the leader is the role model. The example. So there is something which is very deep in this understanding. And then to do what? To achieve what? يُحْبِبُكُمُ is to achieve the way you are going to acknowledge that there is only one God and that you have to do and to behave as the Prophet, peace be upon him, behaved. So you get this understanding that here there is a power structure, power relationship between people choosing the path to achieve the goal. Now, last thing that we have to deal with, and this is where it's very subtle, is that if you are not aware of the power structure, sometimes you can think that there is no power reality or power relationship, and there is in every, as soon as you are two, sometimes there is a power struggle between you. So this is why I'm saying I was in a very deep psychological way. You can even speak about leadership with the way elements. So this is why when it is said about Ibrahim alayhi salam that he was an ummah, there is a diversity, there is many dimensions that within this is who and what is leading within you. What are you making it the leader? Your heart, your mind, your body. So if you read the brother Karamazov, you know that there are three brothers and they are struggling. In fact, he was personalizing things that are inside, the mind, the body, and the heart. You are struggling. So that at the end, salamat al-nafs is to put the right leader at the right place within the ummah. So تطبيق الشريعة في قلبك mean when you are following the path, you are putting things right within. So it could be that on your own, there is leadership if you understand that on your own you have different dimensions that are defining your being as a human being. So وَأَعْطِ كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّ, this justice, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا, this injustice with the self is that you don't follow the right. So you are not organizing yourself or putting the priorities the right way. So there is here a problem of your own leadership with your own self. So this is why I was pushing you that direction to see if we can get to that point. Coming to the last point, which is very important when it comes to leadership, if you have to deal with leadership, we have different types of leadership. Some realities are formal leadership, but there is also informal leadership. There are institutionalized leadership, and you also have family leadership. But as I said, something which is essential, everything in the Sufi tradition is about spiritual leadership with your own self. Everything has to do with this, is that to know the path, is in order to know what are the means, to try to reconcile what? All the elements of yourself as if they were people, to get the path, to achieve what? Salamat al-nafs, which is here, you have to have your own leadership and to be a driving force with your own, the dimensions of yourself. So sometimes when you look at yourself, you might feel that you are not only one person.
Yeah.
The poet was saying, I is another. I is another. So you are not only one. In fact, you are one person with many dimensions. So if you are leading the dimensions of the self, is to put the dimensions in the right order. So which is spiritual leadership. Okay? You see the in-depth where we have to lead now, we have to head, this is what we are talking about. But in all what I said, I was not talking about the moral qualification of leadership. It's just what it is and how it works between the diversity, the path, and the goal, and all the different structure. But here it's very important to acknowledge the fact that it's always about power relationship. It has to do with power. Leadership has to do with power. That's essential. Now, what I want you to tell me is that, okay, we are talking about leadership. So in which fields would you say that leadership it's at stake or it's working? What are the fields within which you see clearly that we are talking about leadership? If you have to prioritize the fields, following in what I was saying. You understand what I mean? No? You don't get my question? No. So when you speak about leadership, you speak mainly about what? What comes first in your mind? Give me some... where do we speak about leadership?
Honestly, for me, when you talk about leadership, immediately what comes to mind is politics. Yes. I mean, someone who is able to... Can you explain why? Because I feel...
Yeah, let me be specific with my question. Why am I asking this question? In psychological terms or academic terms, or even in your daily life, always try, and this is an advice, always try to analyze why you are connecting some concepts with specific fields. So my question is this one: why is it that very quickly when we speak about leadership, the first field that comes in mind is politics? So why?
Because I feel with political leadership, I mean, you clearly see someone trying to influence people, like, and it's like whether you are in business, you are in academia, any field that you are affected by political, leadership.
Okay.
Yes.
You are clearly understanding leadership as something which has to do with political power.
Yeah, that what come to mind. Trying to provide that leadership for people, trying to...
And why? Why are you thinking about this? Yeah. Are you involved in politics?
Sorry?
Are you involved in politics?
No, maybe later.
Okay, that's... Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yes? Okay. I'm sorry. Use the mic and then we'll go there. Sorry, because he took it, he has the mic. Yeah, okay. Doesn't work?
Yes, I believe it's authority, actually. Authority and vision.
What is authority?
The ability to exercise control over a group of people, period.
So it's controlling. Yeah. But what if the people, now we are coming back to the first question, but that's fine. I just want to you to precise something, or to explain something. What if you decide, for example, we all decide that you are our leader. It's the decision that we all took. You are our leader. Why are you talking about controlling us?
No, exercising control, actually. Exercising control. So in which way are you exercising control? Well, we mentioned that ability to inspire people, ability to influence, ability to achieve the target.
Okay. So, but it's not always controlling.
It's not controlling.
Okay, that's fine. But my question was, thank you. My question was, what is the first field that comes to your mind when you speak about leadership? He said politics. What would you say?
Well, I believe when we say somebody is a leader, the first thing that comes to mind is ability to, like I said, exercise a level of power, authority. I'm asking the field, the main field. The field.
When you came here, and you okay, principle of leadership in Islam, you would say the first thing that came to your mind was politics?
No.
What?
The first thing that comes to mind is, if it's here, now it's even contextualized actually. It depends here, within this hall, in this seminar. It's academic.
Academic leadership.
Yep.
You wanted to know how much power is on my side.
Basically.
Lots of power.
In my opinion, for example, is that on daily basis, especially through influence of social media and the media by itself generally, we have been like influenced about the leadership, about the politics and all of these political issues that's going on around the world. So that is maybe one of the most important reasons why leadership is coming to our mind. It's maybe it's, yeah.
But for you,
that's for me.
it has to do with which field first?
More with governance.
Governance,
yeah.
politics.
Yes.
Why?
I would like to relate the question to your question, the previous one, for example, which is, yeah. I don't know, as we can see, for example, these days, I'm talking, for example, in my personal view, we don't have too much freedom of choice. So it means like everything is organized and we have been influenced by outside forces. Let's call it like this. In which way? In a way that on daily basis everything is created to us. Right now I'm not talking from religion point of view, but I'm talking, for example, from strategical point of view. So everything is connected somehow. So there is someone who is leading us, who is guiding us, who is motivating us in different way. So there is some leadership on daily basis. As Suleiman was mentioning, we have the leadership in family, we have leadership in schools, at universities, at work. We have leadership in every kind of sphere. So, yeah.
But first governance and then all the other fields in that.
That's right.
It affects all other aspects or other realms of life. Leadership, as you've mentioned in summarizing the definition, to have the power and to choose the path for a goal, the topmost leader of a society, he defines the priority, he defines the agenda. And that's why this is the first that comes in mind. And along the way, you can see his influence in all aspects of different fields that would be sub-led according to his vision.
It comes first to your mind because it's the most influential.
And it's like the umbrella. It's the overarching umbrella.
The politicians today and politics today and governance today is so limited because of economic powers and reality.
But still, if they have the consent of the people, they would have the decision to go in a certain path.
Is it so influential? When, for example, Bill Clinton in the United States, while he was still president, is saying it's only 1% of the people in this country who are leading the country. He was talking about the economic force.
I believe in leadership. We are not talking about the president. We are talking about the powerhouse, the political structure, of course. Yeah.
More powerful than the economic structure?
They are both interrelated in this.
Why don't you speak about the economic leadership?
It is related. But now, for instance, the cooperate is taking over the policy making, and that's why we can say that it's also governance. But who's on the driver's seat now? It's the cooperate globally. But who's leading? Who's having the driver's seat capacity?
Bismillah. Okay, from your question, in what field should there be leadership? Taking from some of the elements you mentioned that need to be involved in leadership is that it should be more than one. So from this we say any setting wherein there's more than one person that require achieving certain goals, there should be leadership, starting from the family. So it's like the family has got certain goals to achieve. How can they live peace, live a happy life? So we need leadership here. If it comes to religion, here we need somebody to be followed and to achieve certain goals, worshiping their creator. So in this case, leadership is needed here. Within the country, of course, how the smooth running of the people. In this case, here comes now, because of it being so broad, here comes the necessity of having division of labor. So in the economic aspect, leadership, certain amount of leadership is needed in the economic aspect, or the social factor whatsoever. So in any setting wherein more than one person are there to achieve certain goals, leadership is needed there. And the Prophet has mentioned is that whenever 3 of you are on the journey, you should appoint one, to be an Amir. Yeah.
And so what?
So therefore, any setting wherein particular goals needs to be achieved, leadership should be involved in that particular. Yeah, here, of course, you need leadership to guide yourself. As you said, you have different dimensions. So leading all these dimensions toward achieving the right goals, leadership is also needed here. But in this case, it's not the issue of being one. It's a matter of leading the dimensions. Not leading yourself, leading the dimension towards achieving. Okay. Yeah.
And you responded such as politics. The governance isn't politics. Isn't about the politics only. The government is about the politics. But when we say governance, this is related to the many institutions into the society, related to the different fields, such as economy, education, governance.
You speak about all the institutions who, in one way or another, are dealing with the political structure.
They are dealing
with the political structure,
but they are not.
They are not reduced to the government. The government, you are right, but they are connected to the political structure. Governance, it's about the political structure, even it's not the government. Its governance is how this.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes.
The political science. This is what we explain.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think. Yeah, the governance, as we say in public policy, governance. We are actually working, building the institutions in a society, of course, based on a certain politician decisions. Yes, political structure. How we are calling. Yes. And these institutions are actually related to different fields where we are promoting our leaderships, our leadership, even if it's going to be to the economy or education in academic sense, but not necessarily only to be politics. But why we are actually more sensitive or directly connecting leadership to the political decisions, because they do possess power. This is what they are more loud than another leaders or the leadership in another fields. They do have. Less responsibility, maybe, yeah, because
why don't you say less power and say less responsibility?
Because they do have less power. No problem with this. But no, I'm not scared about the word of power, about this concept, no, at all. But the politicians, they do have a much. Sure, yeah, sure, that's right, yeah. No, I'm afraid as long as I have a power.
Oh, you're afraid of having power?
As long as I'm using it.
Okay.
Yeah, but not from the power. Okay. I'm not, yeah.
Okay, last one, and then I will summarize the second step of our discussion.
So, I mean, yes, everybody kind of mentioned politics because, of course, we're a product of our generation, and you know that's all what we're bombarded about, newspapers, media, everywhere. But really, I mean, thinking about a lot of these terms are somehow coming from, I guess, the West, and since the modern state came by. But there's a lot of parts of the world and societies where, you know, the societies still operate the way they've always operated traditionally. So for me, when I think about leadership, again, I still think about like who is that one person that most people, you know, their name is on their tongue. You know what I mean? Like who is influential in that community? Because there's tribal leaders. Even though in some countries, if you look at them today, the politicians are there, the political structure is there, the governance is there, but they still try to go to these traditional people to get blessings because they know that these people wield a huge amount of influence and relationships within their community. So when I think about leadership, I think about the society. Forget about whether it's a place where there's a governance, like in Somalia right now, maybe some parts have government, but for the last 20 years, they really didn't have a government. But you look at the different ethnic groups that make up Somalia, and then you look at it within each, who the elders are. And if you want to be heard, you need to be speaking where those people are gathered, whether it's like a majlis, a coffee shop, or whatnot. I mean, so again, it's all about the relationships.
So the first thing that comes to your mind is social leadership.
Yes.
In order to do what? It's part of governance at the end of the day. I got it, huh?
The activities can vary, like whether it's like the union, administering a marriage, again giving your blessings, just conflict resolution. I mean, just, you know, being the witness that everybody believes that you're a third party that, you know, will not take necessarily one side. So the activities can vary, but it's just, again, who is that person? If everybody talks about like elder, they use the word elder now, not necessarily referring to age, but like who's that one person in our society here, in our circles that we consider and we value and has a relationship with each one of us. We might not have a relationship directly, but every one of us has a relationship with that person, and listen to that person or influenced by that person. Again, that's what I think it boils down to at the lowest level. Everything else is kind of like artificial now, restructured. I mean, who knows, it might change. So, thank you.
Look, this is the second step of our discussion, but it is a critical one. If you get my point, or I will try to translate my point to make it clear. We talked about leadership and tried to understand what it means between the people, the path, and the goals, and all what we said before. Now, we said that whenever you are more than one, or even with the multiple dimensions of your being, you are dealing with leadership. Now, the second question when it comes to leadership, the way you are looking at leadership and where you are identifying leadership and the relationship is going to be very important. Why? Because ask somebody about where he or she puts the notion of leadership, you will see how he is structuring the reality and understanding the reality of the relationship between human beings. So if straight away we start with politics, or we start with governance, or we start with, that means that the perception of where leadership is at stake and working, it's revealing the way you look at the world, in fact. And this is why, from the very beginning, in the Islamic tradition, but also in the philosophical tradition, the first dimension which is important, which has an impact on everything, is the intellectual leadership. Intellectual leadership, it's important. Why? And don't start with spiritual leadership, because the spiritual leadership is in fact the way you are using your intellect to try to understand how you are going to liberate yourself. So the Quran came to speak to minds before speaking to hearts, and then liberating the hearts, speak in a different way to minds. So it's two things. Read before freeing yourself, but being free, you come back to a better reading. So you read twice. So this is why Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan. Al-bayan that you are extracting with your intellect is coming after he revealed. But he revealed the Quran to your mind for you to liberate your heart and then to come back to a better understanding of what it is. So intellectual leadership, it's essential. Spiritual leadership, it's essential as well. To the point that in fact, when you deal with the West, you might ask yourself, is it a political colonization and a political leadership, or is it an intellectual leadership which has an impact on the spiritual leadership or lack of leadership that we may have. You understand my point? So the way you are structuring the different spaces where leadership is at stake is saying something about the way you look at the world and the way you look at your own liberation or your own way of goals. Which are the goals? In fact, by organizing the spaces of leadership, we'll see what are the goals of your own leadership in your own life. Is it a political or is it an intellectual? So, and by saying this, intellectual, spiritual, and comes to this, the educational leadership is very important, because at the end, everything which is coming from our tradition in Islam, we are talking about a role model. So we are putting leadership in the role model. And the role model is about what? It's about ethical behavior, isn't it? Ethical behavior. So you put the right leadership into the ethical behavior as something which is essential here, which is coming from where? The intellectual leadership and the spiritual one, in order to have an impact on your behavior. So it's all connected. You see here that there is a system that in fact there is some power in deciding the structure of the different dimensions of leadership in the way you set them. You get my point?
Yeah.
That's essential to understand in this discussion. And then comes the social leadership. That's very essential. When you deal with the professional leadership in everything that you have. The academic leadership is something that we talked about. And two things that are very important, that are essential, is cultural leadership and even artistic leadership. It's also something where it's important. And what is between you and the world is the media. The media is giving you a certain perception of the real. Media leadership, it's essential. Who is providing you with a way you look at the world? The media. And when the international companies are spreading around images of the world, there is here a leadership. Willing it or not, it's a relation of power. If you see that 78% of all the images that are around the world are coming from 7 main international press agencies, and they are all coming from the West or from Japan. So even if we are happy with Al Jazeera, it's still not playing at the highest level of the leading presence of Al Jazeera is about some of the videos that are talking about massacres. This is what they are providing the world with. You know, the statistics are just showing that everything which is the normative perception of the real is coming from the West. When it comes to violence, and then it comes from other sources that were providing the main agencies. And sometimes the main agencies say, we don't want to show this. So the only way showing them are now some of the, anyway, that's, no, that's fine. That's period. Okay. No, but the point is that you have to deal the media leadership. It's very essential, and to ask yourself who is leading and why and how. So you see here that when it comes to leadership and the way you understand where leadership is at play, the way you are going to structure the relationship between the fields is very important. Either you think that true leadership has to do with cultural liberation or economic liberation or spiritual liberation. It's also something which is important. So where you put liberation is also where you see leadership being at stake. Having said that, now my third question of the day is, yes, go ahead, sorry.
I have just a question on the...
Yes, go ahead. But the mic, where is the mic?
For instance, yes, there is, media is influencing people, education is influencing people, but there are factors. Yani, we are not, it's not like a two-way power relationship as you've defined leadership on abstract, on the level of concept definition. Yani, it does influence me, but it doesn't take me to the objective of who's leading on that aspect. Yani, I have still it's a factor that I'm trying to express myself in a very clear manner in that respect, that there are factors influencing the person or the group of people, but not necessarily leading them to the objective that is or the path that has been defined by who's in control in that dimension.
I understand, but if you go further than that, you can see that, yeah, yes, there are goals, even though they are not explicitly exposed to you, there are goals. Let me tell you, for example, it's, you know, when the people are saying it's the end of the ideologies, if you think about it, in fact, it's the ideology to say that there is no ideology. It's an ideology of distracting all the ideologies. One, for example, they are telling you, you know what, when you push rationality to such an extent that it's the final word, in fact, you are destroying the real and you are destroying truth. There is a goal here. So you think that you are only dealing with rationality, but behind this, it's using rationality to destroy reality, or the real, or truth, by saying everything is relative. Because at the end, your own rational logic is playing against itself. So you think, oh, it's all about rationality. I'm dealing with a means. So the power of the leadership here is to let you think that you deal with means, not understanding that they are heading or leading you towards the specific goals, which is doubting every single truth. So this is where I'm always saying, be careful. Don't think that this discussion is without power. Anyone who is pushing us, for example, to question the very essence that, is the Quran the very word of God? You think it's only a rational question, but you understand, if you go deeply, that there is a goal here, which is the very truth of the Quran. So it's exactly the same at the global scale when it comes to intellectual leadership, or even spiritual leadership, or even economic leadership, or all what we have been doing about it. So I would say that it's not because you don't have somebody or somebody who is in a position of power telling you this is my goal, that there is no goal. So that's my point. And so this is why we have to deepen and widen our understanding of what is power, and what goals we are talking about, and what is the relationship of this translation of leadership in our life. So that's it. So to go deeper with this. So if I may go to the third step. Are you following? Are you because my questions are following a very specific vision, yeah, and plan. Now, when it comes to leadership, there is something that we talked about, is to try to define it. And you say, when you speak about leadership, they are, how would you try now to get a better understanding of leadership has to do with what? We said people, path, and goals. This is, okay, now try to translate this into more normative terms. So, in all the fields that we have been talking about, there should be, leadership should be based on what, providing us with what, and trying to achieve what. Okay? Yep. So this is the overall understanding, and then this is the only way for us now, after this, to be able to translate this from the normative understanding to a more Islamic approach. But I don't want to come to just the Islamic understanding and not to understand that there are overlapping fields that we have with all the people who are talking about leadership. So what would you say that now try to be more, to translate this in more normative terms? Leadership is based on what, needs what, to achieve what. Get this? Do you get my question or not?
Yeah.
Okay, so why are you silent now?
Okay.
Easy. I can't talk, I don't have the mic.
Okay, Bismillah. So I think you're saying that it's, first of all, leadership is based on what? So I would say that this has to do with the concepts that we were trying to express back when we were trying to define leadership. And we tried to say good leadership, but you tried to push us back and say, oh, no, we're talking only about leadership. So now we can bring those concepts back. Okay, so that's not the question. Oh, you're still before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you try to understand leadership, you will try to get what at the beginning?
People together.
Yeah. Yes. So this is the object of leadership. Now we are talking about leadership itself.
Okay.
You would say what? If, for example, in any discussion that you have on a very notion that has to do with dealing with people, what would you try to set first?
The vision. The goal, yani.
So this is the
end, yeah.
The goals, okay? Now I'm talking about leadership itself. It's based on what? It's just to be able to identify that there is something called leadership here. You will try to set what?
Authority of one person over
That's fine.
a group.
But don't try to translate this into what are these things that are needed. How would you call them? When you try to define any notion like leadership, you will start with what? If now, in a very conceptual way, we start with this, we have that, to achieve that. So give me the names of these three things that you have everywhere, that you need to get them, because, and by the way, it's everything. If you study fiqh, it's there. If you study law, it's there. If you study even philosophy, if you study a philosophy with a system of thoughts and value, you always have what at the beginning and what then to achieve what. These are very important words and notions that we have in any structure. You get me? Yeah.
Okay. Do they correspond to people, path, goal?
Sorry?
Do they correspond to people, path, goal? Or no?
This is people, path, goals are objectives, are objects. Now I'm talking only about the notion of leadership. Some are overlapping with what we are saying here, but I want the normative terminology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. Okay, I think here the first thing we need to think of towards achieving the goals, now we have people, path and goals, is to have a set of rules and principles. Through the rules and principles you can achieve, but having these rules or principles depend on the context. I mean the context of leadership, whether within the family or whether in an educational setting or whether in a religion. So if, for example, in a religion, there are a set of rules that come from above all, even from above the leader. If whatever comes from the leader is through inspiration, what we believe. So if it's other settings wherein the people are coming together to identify goals that they want to achieve, here they come up with coming up with rules, and then choosing or having a leader, then come up with certain rules from the leader and the people and the subordinates. Then all of them are bound to follow these rules. But here we'll have an exemplary, somebody who will be representing these rules and goals. Who is the leader? Okay, we should do this, then they do it. We should do this, they'll do it.
Okay, so, but you said something at the beginning, so when we speak about leadership, the first that we have is principles and rules?
Yeah, the rules, we need to have principle rules after having the leader.
So can you define principles?
Yeah, principles is a out of items, general items, that may be used to be that could be implemented on specific items.
So they are not related to the Islamic framework.
No, it doesn't. Not necessary. Not necessary.
So you would say, for example, the principles of leadership are beyond the Islamic reference.
No, it depends on the Islam. To me, I believe that Islam, the Islamic reference, can cover all of them, whether you call them Islamic or not.
Let me put it in another way.
Okay.
The Islamic principle of leadership are the principles for every type of leadership.
They can be.
No.
They are. They are.
So you are universalizing the Islamic reference.
Yeah, whether we call them Islamic or not.
You would say.
Sorry, whether we call them Islamic or not.
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying the same thing.
Okay.
To be precise on that.
Yeah.
You are saying the Islamic principle of leadership are universal.
Sure, they are.
So they are universal. So
yeah, they can be universal. They can be universal.
They
yeah.
Are, they are not.
No, they are. They can. So no, they can be, but we might not implement them in all settings.
I'm not talking about implementing, I'm talking
Okay.
about discuss.
Okay.
Is there something shocking if I tell you the Western universal values?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're rational.
No.
Mm-hmm.
The Western universal values.
Mm-hmm. Because they are un-Islamic.
So they are not universal?
No, because they possess the power. That's why I'm saying here. Mm-hmm.
Just don't enter into the discussion
Sure.
with the West.
Okay.
I'm just saying, in the way I'm talking now,
Mm-hmm.
I say, you know what? They are Western universal values.
Mm-hmm.
You accept this notion or not?
Western universal values. Yes, because it's the world we live in. Yes.
At the beginning of
Yeah.
the discussion, you're all about power. Now it's everywhere. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
only because they are leading.
Only because they are leading. Yeah.
Because the West
Mm-hmm.
is powerful, you accept the notion that they are Western universal values.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not shocking for you only the way it's put.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes or not?
I'm conflicting. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to, you mentioned what is leadership based on, what does it need and what does it try to achieve? I won't answer that for now. Can I just focus on this point maybe? So I think it comes back to the discussions we had in class about the sources, the means, and the ends and the goals. This is key. And depending on the sources of leadership.
Are you making a difference between principles and sources?
The sources can contain the principles, but they're not necessarily the same thing. So.
Are wider than the sources?
No, I would say the sources encompass, within the sources are the principles. They contain the principles. So whether the source is, say, intellect, your intellect, which is giving you certain rational principles, whether the source is revelation, which is giving you ethical, moral.
Are you going to speak about sources? Are you going to speak about sources of leadership or speaking about principles of leadership?
But it's where you derive your source of leadership to begin with. It's what will define.
But if we speak about leadership without referring to a specific
field.
No, even a frame of reference or universal
Sure.
reference, we would say sources of leadership or principles of leadership. Or what we have been doing today, where we talking about the sources or the principles?
The principles. But what I would say is that we need to look at the field, the place in which leadership is being manifest. So if it's, for example, a leader of a community, such as a religious leader, an imam, for example, then what are the sources in which that person will go to in order to extract the principles? Some of them may be rational, some of them may be revelation, such as the Quran, etc.
But why is it that when you speak about religion, you want to know the sources, and if we speak about economy, you don't want to know the sources?
No, it's the same thing with economy, but there'll be different sources. Yes, but
is it the first question that you asked or the second question? Why didn't I start with the sources of leadership but the principles of leadership? Why?
But from where do we derive the principles? This is the issue. I mean, if we come up with...
First question. Is it your first question? If you want to define leadership, you need to know the sources or the principles?
You need to know the principles, but where do the principles come from? They come from the sources. And so you need to then go back to the sources to understand where the...
That's fine, but you might have, coming to the sources, different understanding of what leadership is, so you can qualify it in a different way. But to understand normatively, you need to know the principles, no?
Okay. But how would you come to know the principles? This is the...
Today, did we talk about the sources?
No.
So you can get the principles without talking about the sources. Yes or no?
You can, but the sources will help as well as the goals. The goals and the vision will also help. But
the goals are going to qualify them depending on the sources.
yes.
Not necessarily depending on the principles.
Yes. But I mean, for me, I think the principles, for me, it's like, it's a very abstract term. So what are we talking about exactly? How do we agree on principles? Where do we come to an...
The fact, for example, that you are saying, normatively speaking, is to gather people to come together following a specific path or means to achieve goals. We are talking about principles. We don't need the sources. Now, if we want to qualify it in moral terms, principles. Even the ethical dimension has to do with the sources, which means that sometimes what is perceived as pure principles, in fact there is no pure principles, but the way you are differentiating between principles and sources is to say there is no principles without sources, even though the people are thinking about
Okay, sure.
They try to hide that there are sources there.
Sure.
It's rational. You can deconstruct the fact, because some people are saying that sources and principles are exactly the same, which is exactly the question that I was asking. Are you shocked by Western universal values? Because Western universal values, the source is the West, and universal is the principle, and you're confusing them. That's a problem. You would say Islamic universal value, many Muslims don't have a problem with this. Exactly the same as Westerners don't have a problem with Western universal value. Hold on. If it's Western, it's not universal. So it means that the source is reduced, or has to be understood as reducing the very universal dimension of the principle. So it might be that the source is circumscribing in a very specific way the universality of the principle. So you understand my point? That's the way you can deconstruct the whole discourse when the people are talking about principles, but in fact they are referring to sources. Got my point? Okay, yes?
I want to say agree exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, but not as eloquent or as beautiful. But no, I mean the shocking thing about when you said Western universal values, it's a contradiction right there when you said Western and then you said universal. I mean, so that's. But also, I think to go back to the question, when I hear principles, I hear something that is accepted universally regardless of culture. So then, in notional terms, a good leader would be accepted anywhere in the world. I mean, or a leader would, with the qualities of leadership, anybody else in the world would see it or see the initiative and say that's a principled person. They wouldn't say that's a Muslim person or whatnot because you don't really know, but you can see the action and you can judge the value and say that is principled. I mean, somebody taking a stance, for example, when everybody else is quiet. Again, without the label of religion or culture or whatnot. So the three things, I mean, maybe he's kind of highlighted some things about sources, means and goals, but I was thinking when you said should be based on what? Initiative. Should need what? Motivation or action. It needs action, because without initiative without action, or action without initiative, to achieve what? To achieve change. So I was just thinking of those three things, and I don't know if they were exactly notional, but when you, based on what the ingredients would be.
So you are a step further. I was just referring to something which is before that.
Okay.
Because this is the translation of some of the things that we were talking about. But these are part of our discussion anyway when it comes to, by the way, it can't be disputable that leadership has to do with change. We can't even dispute that. But because there are leaders who are just resisting change.
But isn't...
You say, for example, if you see some of the Salafi literalists in the way they are dealing with the real, is to say our leadership is to resist change.
But isn't, I mean, injustice anywhere, or, is injustice everywhere? I mean, it's like even being quiet and not making change is change.
The objective of your leadership is to resist change.
Okay.
Some perceive change as negative person. So.
Okay.
It could be disputed. The last point.
Okay.
So last thing before I come to my third.
Okay. So coming back to the original question, the third one, I believe that leadership is a power relationship between a leader and a follower, trying to achieve a certain objective through liberating the intellectual and spiritual dimensions, so that they can, attain that goal.
So what are the notions, the normative notions that we need?
Power. And then power, okay, and then relationship between leader and follower.
Which is power.
Okay, and then
Power and power
No, power, and then an objective, and then liberation of the mind and spirit.
So what is this? What are you trying to say here? You are trying to translate what the notions that are essentially
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the last thing that you were saying are the objectives.
Yes.
And what you said before are what?
Power, and then so the relationship between the leader and the follower, and then the objective, and then the liberation of mind and the spirit. You know, yeah, I'm just trying to to come to terms with what you said.
Yes. Yes, but my question, in fact, you are coming very close to what I was expecting you to say, but what was said here, and what you are adding is, when we speak about leadership and we try to analyze what we are talking about, first, what we have to deal with is principles of leadership before the sources. The sources are coming, it's the next step, what we are coming to when it comes to principle of leadership in Islam. In Islam is the source, okay? So principles are important. Then the second thing that and the principles are of many different types. You can have normative principles, and the normative principles are coming from our common rationality. But you can also have something which is also important, ethical principles. Ethical principles when you start qualifying the nature of leadership. And you also have, and ethical has to do with values, but you also have legal principles of leadership, which is how do we institutionalize or regulate the relationship between the leader and the follower. So you have normative principles, you have ethical principles, and you have legal principles. Okay, so all these principles now are everywhere. But you will find the sources different. For example, if you go to Heidegger, saying that there is no God, or all the Marxist tradition or the anarchist tradition, there is no God. So the source of the ethical dimension is going to be rational. Okay, it's a rational way. So for example, if you are doing something and you want it to happen and you think it's good, no one is going to tell you it's good coming from the religious reference, because there is no religious reference, because there is no God. So what is making something ethical is the fact that all the followers can do what you are doing. So the fact that human beings can duplicate your behavior means that it's morally acceptable. It's only a very horizontal way of dealing with things. There is no transcendence. So the leadership, the ethical principles are not transcendental. They are rational and the common human rationality. So this is why from the very beginning. So you understand here the difference between principles and sources. So how we are going to define that. Second is, after the principles, what we were talking about when we spoke about the path is the means of leadership. And here, now, once again, the means could be the means that are the normative means, which would say these are the necessary means to translate leadership. They are necessary means. But the necessary means are not qualified ethically. So you have ethical means as well, as much as legal means and things that you are going to structure. So means are of different types, from the objective means that are necessary to the ethical means that you can add, or the legal means that you must follow. Okay, so means as well should be. Why I'm saying this is that what I'm putting you notions that are normative, and then you qualify them depending on the source. So principles, means, and objectives. These are the three things that we are talking about. Leadership is about principles of leadership, means of leadership, objectives of leadership. But now when you come to the principles, you have the normative, the legal, and the ethical. And then you have exactly the same when it comes to, and then now, depending on the fields, the objectives are going to be specific. You can have political objectives, you can have educational objectives, and you can have social objectives, to which you have to add the ethical dimension, okay, that you may add to define what is the good leadership. It's at that point, and only at that point, that we start differentiating between the leadership, that the discussion that we had at the beginning is that we have the normative framework, the normative understanding. Wherever you go, you speak about leadership, you have principles of leadership, you have means of leadership, and you have objectives. Now you start talking about, okay, let us now, when it comes to the objectives, normatively, we are talking about the objectives are set depending on the field. So education has its own objective. Politics has its own objective. So you are going to define the objectives. And add to this now, relying on sources, you are going to come with the legal, the ethical, and the moral qualification. Okay? Yeah. Why this is important? Because this is where, from an Islamic perspective, you know what is immediately universal and what is specific, and in which way the specific can be understood as universal. But if you don't do this, you are completely confusing all the fields. So you have to be structured in your mind to start with the normative, come to the principles, get the sources, and then you come back to the discussion by saying what is shared as universal principles and what is specific as coming from our source but could be understood if we know how you translate this into the universal. So it's not because it's singular or it's not because it's specific that it's not universal. Very often you have to acknowledge it's coming from my tradition, but it could be translated into universal if I know what is the universal, the normative, and what is the specific. But we need to know that first before confusing. You get my point? Yeah. So now, my question, and this is the last question for today, can I take 7 more minutes because we started 7 more minutes late? Can we do that? Yeah. 7? Not more than that. Can you stop me? 7, it's okay? You stop me?
5 past. Waste now 2 minutes.
It's 2, so at
5 past.
5, 7 past 3, is that okay we stop? No, I wanted 7 minutes more, not starting from now. I don't know why I say 7, it's just to show that I'm very strict with time. I could say 15 or 10. Anyway, now we come to something which is the last question, the Islamic references, or the Islamic sources. Okay, the Islamic sources. So now, we speak about leadership, yeah? Can I ask you to tell me what are the Islamic sources for you when it comes to define leadership?
In my opinion, we have like 4 sources. First of them is Quran, the Holy Quran. Second is the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we have the wise Khalifas, and we have the pious followers.
Okay, 4 sources: Al-Quran, the prophetic traditions,
yes.
the companions, and the tabi'in, or the what did you say, the 4th one?
The pious followers.
The pious followers. So it's Salaf al-Salih.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
4 sources. So this is where you will get the principle, your Islamic principles of leadership.
I would like to add the tradition. The tradition in each culture that we deal with. It can be also the source of our principles in leadership. It can be.
So do you mean by this that the tradition means that you might have, where do you come from?
Croatia.
Do you think that in Croatia we can have principles of leadership that are quite different from the greatest country in the world, which is Egypt?
They might not be quite different, but they might be different. They might differ from another culture. They might, as we were mentioned.
Can we translate leadership in a different way in Croatia than in other countries?
We might do that.
I know that the conditional is always a way of escaping my question. Can we or can we not?
Yes, we can.
So it could be 2 different.
It could be, yes.
No.
Yeah.
So you might find different ways of dealing with leadership in Croatia than you are in the Croatian culture than you have in another culture.
Yes.
So culture could be a source of leadership.
Could be one of the sources of leadership.
Yes, so it is. It is a source of leadership.
It is.
It's one of the sources. If
Okay.
it could be a source, it's one of the sources.
Yes, right.
And can you explain in which way a culture can provide you with a specific leadership? Can you give me a specific example of a creation way of dealing with leadership, which is different from, as I told you,
Maybe in a terms of understanding the leadership of women or woman, the creation, I mean, tradition or culture might differ from another culture in a way the women are dealing with the leadership in this particular.
who are the leaders and who are the people who are involved in leadership?
Yes.
Is this about principles?
Yeah, this is quite a difficult question. Is it about the principles?
About the means, no? Who can deal with leadership?
But it is with the means, I mean.
It is with the means.
Yes.
Is it with the principles?
Or is it with the principles? It can be.
Again.
I mean, it can be.
Can you explain?
Yeah. As a source.
I'm just asking in which way culture is a source of defining leadership for you.
Understanding the way how we are dealing with values also can be derived from the culture. This is related to the principles.
Source.
Yes, because it's extracted from the source. As we said, that first comes principles, then the sources.
Why do you think that?
Yeah.
I think it's wrong. My way of
No. You are.
I'm not asking you, pushing you to think that you are wrong.
I'm just trying to give an example. Yeah.
Something else? One, two.
And if I can add to what she had mentioned, I mean, if we look at, for example, an American Muslim leader, he uses the same sources and the same principles that somebody in Saudi Arabia might use, but obviously his idea of leadership and the way that the followers of him view him, obviously they still understand him as a leader just as somebody in a different country would. So the culture has obviously affected the way that leadership has evolved through using the same sources, right? So that's all. Through a specific culture and the context of the historical, events that have occurred, So the way that he's dealing with non-Muslims in America, just there's so many different events and scenarios that have to be understood for that leader to be able to be a true leader.
So would you say that this has to do with sources of leadership, sources to define the principles of leadership?
I think so. He's using the same sources, but in a different way, right?
When it comes to just the sources, the last one. Okay, so I will. Okay, so I hope so. I think for the sources of Islamic leadership, two that we could add to culture and to the revelation is the fitrah, the innate disposition of people. Because when you look at Ibrahim alayhi salam as being the leader, it was his fitrah, this guy which was guiding him, which differentiated him from his people. It was connecting to his fitrah, that was one point, and also the heart itself, which because a sound heart, a qalbun salim, it can also guide the limbs and it can guide the body towards something which is better. I think all of that comes to the revelation and comes to it, because the sound, it all comes back to the sunnah at the end of the day, what the brother mentioned, I think. So I think the revelation could sum that point up. And then you have al-urf, which is maybe, I think you were mentioning tradition, it could be called urf. And then the heart and the intellect as well. The heart, the intellect, and the fitrah.
You wanted to, okay.
Is enough time?
We have to end. Just you are the last one. We'll end with you very quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to add something about the culture. The culture can provide us with role models who are internalizing these kind of principles which are driven from the sources, so that we can see them, see effective like role models, applying these kind of principles in a certain social context, like directly related to that social context.
Okay, let me just end this session today by just coming back to what you were saying, which is very important. We differentiated between the principles and the sources. From an Islamic perspective, when we speak about principles of leadership in Islam, we are talking about the source, trying to get the sources. And it's clear here that we are saying, and once again, I agree with what you are saying, we have to put together anything which has to do with the scriptural sources, the Quran and the prophetic traditions. These are the main sources, and as such the reference, and even the companions and the Salaf al-Salih were relying on this to provide us with, so it's all coming back to their understanding of the scriptural sources at the time of their living. So at the end we can summarize by saying this is it. But what is very important is that as we can't have scriptural sources without intellect, the intellect could be a source of leadership principles and principles. What you said is very important when it comes to al-fitra would be the common factor between the intellect, because the intellect is trusted in Islam because of the fitra, but the al-qalb al-salim, as you said, is trusted in Islam because of al-fitra. So the fitra is the common factor of the two, that we are intellect per se, it's the source. So this is why, in fact, it's because of this that I am able to start with the way I started today, by saying I don't have a problem to deal with normative definition of leadership, because it's the normative is coming from the intellect as a source, the common intellect that we have. It's now you understand from an Islamic perspective, I'm confident with starting with this, because at the end it's one of the sources in Islam, it's one of the sources, and al-fitra. What you said, which is essential, yes, cultures are sources, because in ethical terms, in legal terms, and even in understanding that we look at the world in positive way, and how cultures could be very influential, not only by defining leadership in a very specific tribe structure or political structure, but the way, the translation, the way you are dealing with your leadership. For example, in very specific culture, the way you deal with silence and speaking and talking and exchanging, it's very important in leadership. You have to take this into account. You cannot just come with the models of a different culture. You have to deal with the culture. So what is the meaning of silence? Why, for example, in some culture, anyone who has power could never speak in another language but his or her language. So if he has to speak to you, he speaks to somebody else to speak to you. So this is the way you have to deal. You know, these are norms and structure that you have to deal. So culture is essential, and we don't have a problem with this. We integrate this into our discussion. So having said that, these are the very important elements. So in your mind, these are the sources. And then it's also very important to understand the way it comes from the Quran, because one of the main examples, the fact that also in cultures and there is the notion of the role model. So the role model here, it's something that you have in the Quran through what? That the Quran, the scriptural sources are talking to us through at least two sets of models. All the stories of the Quran, Qasas al-Quran, are all based on illustration of what morality should be in leadership. For example, with Bilqis, a woman, with Ibrahim alayhi salam as a man. All these, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, all this has to do with translation, illustration of what leadership should be through the stories and through some of the principles that we have. So we have to look. So you cannot get the meaning of a story if you don't have two things: the mind to understand and the heart to project yourself. So these are things that we have to get. What I'm asking you to do for the day after tomorrow is to think about what are, now that we have the overall understanding, the principles and all this, what I want you to think about are what are the qualities and what is expected from a leader now, from an Islamic perspective, or normatively first and then from an Islamic perspective, okay? So what are the characteristics, the qualities and the features that are expected in the leader and in the follower? Okay, this is for the day after tomorrow. Take good care of yourself. Don't forget to tell the people you love that you love them until the day after tomorrow. Thank you.